Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a topic that honestly impacts half the world's population, often in ways we don't even realize: the very real harm of sexual objectification. We're going to break it all down using what the science and other perspectives tell us. So let's get right into it. So let's just jump right in with a question that the source material poses. Think about it. When a woman walks into a room, what's the first thing people really notice? Is it her ideas, her strength, her presence, or is it her body? This one question really cuts to the very heart of what we're talking about today. So, let's get on the same page about what we're actually discussing. The key term is sexual objectification, and what it means is pretty simple. It's when a person gets reduced to their physical parts, seen mainly as an object for someone else's desire. Their mind, their feelings, their talents, all that gets sidelined. It's a really crucial definition for understanding everything else that follows. Now, this isn't just some abstract idea or, people's feelings getting hurt. We're talking about real, measurable, hidden costs here. And the sources we're looking at provide actual scientific proof of the damage. So let's dig into what the research has uncovered, starting with what it does to our minds. Okay, so the first hidden cost is psychological. And what's really fascinating is that it starts from the inside. When you're constantly being looked at as a body, you can start to see yourself that way too. Researchers actually have a name for this: self-objectification. It's like you take that outside gaze and you turn it inward on yourself. So just how widespread is this? Well, according to a really important study by Fredrickson and Roberts, get this, a staggering 60 to 80% of women in Western societies experience this self-objectification to some degree. That is a huge, huge number of people feeling this pressure. Okay, so you hear a number like that and you think, what does that actually do to someone? Well, the psychological toll it's huge. It's directly linked to more body shame, more anxiety, and even a higher risk for serious things like depression and eating disorders. It literally changes your focus from who you are on the inside to what you look like on the outside. And it doesn't stop inside your own head. That internal struggle, well, it spills out into the real world. It has very real social consequences. Objectification doesn't just change how you see you, it changes how other people see you and treat you. And the data here is, wow. It's pretty jaw-dropping. A 2009 study found that when the focus was put on a woman's appearance, a full 70% of the comments people made were about her body, not her personality, not her competence, not her ideas. And that right there is the social cost in a nutshell. When people are seen as a collection of body parts, they're also perceived as less competent, less intelligent, and are way less likely to be seen as leaders. It just sucks all the oxygen out of the room, distracting from their actual skills and reinforcing some really nasty stereotypes. But wait, it gets even deeper. The impact isn't just psychological or social. There's also a cognitive cost. And I love this analogy from the source. It's like a tax on your brain. This constant awareness of being judged for how you look literally eats up your mental energy. And no, this isn't just a figure of speech. It is a measurable, quantifiable drain on your mental resources. A 2011 study actually found that when women were put in situations where they felt objectified, their accuracy on things like math problems dropped by 15 to 20%. So you might be asking, why? Why does that happen? It's because that mental bandwidth you're using for what the source calls appearance monitoring, worrying about how you look, that's energy you can't use for problem solving, for being creative, or for just focusing on what's in front of you. It's a direct hit to your performance. Now, this problem isn't just happening in our day-to-day interactions. The source material makes a really strong point that our culture, and especially our media, acts like a giant cultural amplifier for all of this, making it seem normal, even expected. I mean, just look at this chart. It's based on a 2015 study, and it really lays it bare. A whopping 80% of media images of women were found to focus on body parts like the bust, waist, and hips over their face or anything to do with their character or talents. 80%! And the fallout from that? The cultural cost is massive. You've got 65% of women feeling this intense pressure to live up to these impossible ideals. On top of that, Other studies show that men who see this stuff more often are more likely to, you guessed it, view women as objects. It creates this vicious cycle that's really hard to break. Okay, so after laying out all these documented harms, the natural question becomes, are there any frameworks out there that try to push back against this? And this is where the source material pivots, to explore a specific perspective from the Islamic tradition, focusing on the concept of hijab as a potential shield. This quote from the scholar Morteza Motahari really frames the argument they're making. From this viewpoint, the purpose of hijab isn't about restriction. Instead, it's about protecting a woman's dignity by ensuring she's seen for her mind and her character, not just as an object of desire. So what the source does here is really interesting. It puts the scientific problems and the proposed solutions side by side. You see the pattern, right? Science says focusing on the body is harmful. This perspective says, okay, let's redirect that focus. Research shows objectification kills respect. This practice aims to build a respectful environment from the ground up. And to help make this idea easier to grasp for everyone, the source offers a really powerful analogy, thinking of the hijab as a kind of professional uniform, right? Just like a doctor's coat or a judge's robe helps us focus on their skills and their role, not their outfit. The argument is that hijab functions in a similar way in society. All right, let's zoom out and pull all these different threads together. We've walked through the science of harm, and we've looked at one perspective on a solution. So what's the big takeaway here? Why does this all matter when you put it together? When you lay it all out like this, the research reveals this incredibly clear chain of harm. It starts with the psychological cost, that then becomes a social cost, which then creates a cognitive cost. And the whole thing is supercharged by the cultural piece. Each one builds on the last, and together they show the full extent of the damage. And so all of this leaves us with a really big and, frankly, really tough question to think about. In a culture that's all about constant display, about showing off, how do we as a society actually shift our collective focus back, away from just what someone looks like and toward the depth of their character, their mind, and their humanity? It's a huge challenge, and as we've seen, it's one that cuts across all cultures.